Morning guys, so today looking at knives. If you've seen any of my videos, you've probably seen most typically I'll use this Mora, very common knife, very reasonably priced, something like 10-11 pounds I think I paid for it. Made in Sweden, stainless steel blade. It's tried, it's tested, most people have seen them, they work really well. I also have a high carbon steel version, slightly different design, slightly smaller. This was only about £6. Really well priced, really well priced. Mora knives are great, they're cheap, they're reliable, they work. The metal they're made from is pretty good. You're not really going to find a better knife for the price. Now, the thing I've started worrying maybe a little bit more is the fact the length of these blades. Now, in the UK, I'll actually read you the law. So, you shouldn't carry a knife in public without good reason unless it has a folding blade with a cutting edge of less than 3 inches. So both these have a cutting edge of more than 3 inches and they're not folding. So they're not technically UK everyday carry legal. So I mean, it's fine when I come out, to a woods, a lake like this, I'm making a YouTube video, that's a perfectly good reason to be carrying a knife like this for cooking, for splitting wood, anything like that. But doing these videos every day, I sometimes have my bag with me, and I have one of these knives in it, and it's not going to be ideal necessarily if you get stopped by the police. Even if I can justify the reason, I can say, hey look, I've got a YouTube channel, got 100, 200 videos, whatever it is now, up on there. I'm just on my way to, I've stopped in Tesco, but I'm on my way to the field to make a video. I've just sort of started thinking, maybe I should just make my sole knife for YouTube videos an everyday carry legal one. So I bought this knife a while ago, everyday carry legal, a Svord Peasant Mini. I'm wondering, can this knife do everything that this one can do? Now, probably the most arduous of tasks that I require of my knives is for splitting wood. So I'm gonna have a little test this morning, see if I can split some fairly reasonable size chunks of wood, probably as big as I would ever use for the stuff I kind of do, just for burning wood in wood stoves and little campfires. Can this small little everyday carry legal sub 3 inch cutting edge and folding knife, can I do everything that the Mora has been doing up until now? Because it will actually make my life easier. It means I can just keep this thing in my pocket, throw it in my bag, and if I go to the supermarket, if I'm walking around town before making a YouTube video, it's not going to cause me any problems. So that's a little test this morning. Let's split some wood with the Mora and the everyday carry UK legal Svord Peasant Mini. So I've got two branches here. One is slightly longer than the other, but they're both cut from the same bit of wood, roughly the same thickness. So we'll try the Mora first. The Mora is actually going to be cutting through the slightly thinner one of the two, so actually make the test easier, or harder in fact, for the Svord. Ground's a little bit soft here, but as you can see, it splits it reasonably well. I've used this Mora quite a bit for this kind of stuff, splitting branches for firewood. It does it pretty well, so that's kind of the benchmark set by the Mora. Now let's try it with the Svord. This actually is a slightly thicker branch. We'll see how it gets on. It's not as comfortable in the hand because the fact it folds, it's kind of biting back down into my palm as I'd hit it, and just being a slightly shorter blade makes it a little bit more difficult. But it is cutting it probably almost as easy as the Mora. It's harder work. I mean, it's not the fact that it's more blunt or more difficult, it's just without the blade length. It's just, this probably is a slightly on the chunkier side of probably what this blade maybe is capable of cutting. definitely makes the job harder. It's probably actually a little bit more dangerous. The fact it folds means it can kind of clamp down and cut you easier, which is probably one of the ironies of UK knife law. Folding knives typically more dangerous for the user than a fixed blade. It's probably actually harder than I was expecting this to be. I think this test maybe is a fail for the Svord then. It could probably cut smaller branches easier. It just kind of, it just gets stuck in there. It just gets stuck in there is the biggest problem this has got. Now this is where it starts getting a bit dangerous because it's folding. Much higher probability of cutting yourself. It's properly wedged in there now. So maybe this is the test then for everyday carry, Svord Mini. Maybe splitting wood isn't going to be what it's going to be ideal for. I mean, I think it's going to be okay for most other tasks. It's like cutting, whether it's chopping up food or cutting bits of rope. I was hoping this test would have worked because this would have kind of solved a bit of a sort of thing I've been thinking about for a while. Let me try and cut it in the other direction, see if that helps in any sort of way. I mean, that is probably working now. It is splitting it, but it's much harder work, way harder work than what the Mora did. So, I mean, it is splitting it, but you really wouldn't want to be doing this as a way of cutting wood for your wood stove or for whatever you need. I think we can safely say that the Svord Mini is no match for the Mora. If you can actually see there, I have actually cut myself. I do think that is one of the silly things about UK knife law. Folding blades are much more dangerous for the user, way easier to cut yourself than a fixed blade or a locking blade. I think we're going to call it there, guys. I think the Svord Peasant Mini in no way can match the Mora for this kind of more heavy duty use. I'm actually a little bit sad about that. I was really excited about the concept of just using an everyday carry knife as my go-to, pretty much main default outdoor knife, but it just doesn't really have what it takes. There's a reason, I guess, why this is just such a common knife. Everybody uses it. Unfortunately, not UK everyday carry legal, but there's probably a reason for that, and that people just have to work around the law and just, I guess, put this in their bag when they're going somewhere and then take out the bag when they're not going somewhere. It's just unfortunate, but I'm glad I did the test because it would have really solved some headaches for me had this have worked. But unfortunately it just hasn't. So I've cut myself, I've unsuccessfully cut some wood. This is still a great little knife. It looks nice, it's nice to hold in the hand. It just hasn't got the beef of what it takes to split logs, which is something I really need. Doing like outdoor cooking and starting little fires and stuff, that's something I really need it to do. Still like this knife, it's great little pocket knife. Just hasn't got the meat of what it takes that something like this has. So yeah, thanks for watching this video, guys. Let me know if you've got any recommendations, a good UK everyday carry legal knife that can pretty much just go to do anything knife. Love to hear it because it's just something I've been thinking about over the last few weeks. As yet, this is still the default. This is still the main one, the made in Sweden Mora stainless steel. Thanks for watching the video, guys, and I'll see you in tomorrow's video. See you then.